A very good morning, it's Fabio, and in today's market outlook, we're going to be diving into euro dollar, the major dollar pairs, and of course gold. So with that said, let's dive straight in. So overall, if we look at the current market situation, we can currently see that EURUSD has pushed up higher in towards that higher time frame area of supply. But obviously after tapping that supply zone, grabbing liquidity above the highs, we have reversed with a lot of power in towards the downside. Now, if we just quickly view what the daily has been doing over here, we can very clearly see that it was actually pretty much expected that we were going to see a pullback at that high. Remember what I mentioned, this blue line was your protected high, your fractal so-called high, and from there we saw the initiation, the dump in towards the downside, which broke this fractal low. So remember, all that's actually happened here is just an uptrend shifting into a downtrend with a beautiful pullback in towards supply over here, and from there now we're continuing in towards the downside. So for me personally, it would make sense for EURUSD to now continue down lower this week. Obviously grab liquidity underneath this low at least and push down lower in towards this refined area of demand, which is this overall sell before the buy candle. That is what would make sense to me personally. So I'll be waiting for that. For the rest, we're going to go into the lower time frame and see if that's actually also being just shown there, that for the downside makes sense. So if we look at the downside, obviously if we just look at the trend, we can very clearly see, okay, we get the uptrend up, we get the pullback, we get the trend back up, and then we get the impulse down, we get the pullback, and now we're getting the impulse down again. So again, further downside does indeed make sense. Remember, after this break of structure, we were expecting a pullback after this corrective descending price action. Then again, on Friday, what did we mention? We mentioned that we had a lot of potential for downside because again, we were seeing ascending corrective price action, which once again is a sign of further potential downside. So what I'm now looking at is just following the overall order flow and the trend. Obviously the daily is bearish, we know that, right? So in the sense obviously that we're looking at fractal structure, right? Because the overall daily time frame is still more bullish than bearish. Obviously we're forming higher highs and we're forming higher lows, right? So looking at that, we still have further room for some more downside here on the daily time frame. If we, for example, take this as our swing low, we obviously did find support at the 0.5 fib, but we still have more room until, let's say, the 618 or the 786 and this area of demand. So based on the daily, there is more room for downside going in towards the 4 hour as well. The overall order flow is now bearish. So we just broke this fractal low. I would like to see a candle close below that low, not just kind of like a sweep, because otherwise we could move a little bit higher potentially. But I would like to see a strong candle close. That for me would be more confirmation that this is then your supply zone, and then I'll just trade alongside the order flow in towards the downside. We do have some demand inside this zone over here, but that is pretty much your last demand zone until we could potentially just sell off in towards, what is it, around 1.10. So I'm looking to trade towards 1.10. If we do see that bearish momentum continue, I would like to see a bearish 4 hour candle close. This then form as your area of supply and then short in line with that. Because otherwise, if we just, for example, wick in towards this demand zone, close bullish, or we just sweep, for example, the low in here and we see, let's say, this bearish candle close extremely weak, that would indicate to me that there's not a lot of, let's say, power inside of this supply zone, and we could just, let's say, chop back in towards the highs. Okay, so that's extremely important to understand. We want to see some momentum in towards the downside start to kick in here on euro dollar. Obviously it's a Monday, so who knows, we might need to be a little bit patient, but that's what I'm looking for. Now going into the dollar index, the dollar index itself pulled back perfectly or even beautifully in towards that daily area of demand, which we mentioned on Friday. You can watch it back, mention it there. So we're continuing up higher from there. It does make sense for dollar index now to push up higher. Obviously here, a fractal low break, here a fractal high break. So we're now bullish in towards the highs fractal structure wise on the daily after a pretty overextended move into the downside. We still have some supply open over here. So I would prefer to see one more push in towards the upside before then, again, if we do react to this area of supply, then head down lower again, or if we break it, just continue up higher. So that's what I'm looking for on the dollar. Now going into Aussie dollar itself, what we can see there is a beautiful, beautiful daily candle close, guys. And this is why I love fractal structure, because here you can see how beautifully fractal structure plays out. We can again very clearly see that we had fractal low break over here. the fractal low got broken by this area of supply. We push down again, we break this overall sell before the buy, which you could consider as a daily area of demand. Not the strongest, but it is daily area of demand. We wick straight through it, we pull back in towards that buy before the sell, and then we sell off again. So what I'm looking for on Aussie dollar is just a push down in towards this daily area of demand. All right, so at the moment, what is in control? Well, we have this supply zone in control, this buy before the sell-off. As you can see, we have already tapped into it over here with this daily candle, so that could indicate that we are already ready to push down lower. All right, so now going into the 4-hour time frame, we can look for a potential entry setup. Now, looking at the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour is not the best or the most ideal. Reason for that being is that, okay, we do indeed have, let's say, this entire so-called order flow supply zone, which is just your entire buy before sell. You can consider this as, let's say, your supply zone. But obviously, if we refine it, you want to refine it to, for example, the most recent buy before the sell, which is all the way up here. However, in that move down, there is no liquidation, indicating that it's going to take some time to develop if you do want to short from here. So what I would prefer is for more momentum to kick in. We break this low, and then we just trade with the 15 in towards the downside, towards that daily area of demand. So that holds my preference for now. Break this low, and then I'll be interested in getting into shorts. Otherwise, we could just start chopping and ranging and moving up higher. So that's just simply what I'm waiting for from Aussie dollar there on the 4-hour time frame. For the rest, what can I say? I mean, over here, obviously, we've broken the 15-minute swing low. So now let's see what happens. I'm not interested in any longs. Again, this is a very clear example why I wouldn't be interested straight away in a short from that area of supply, which I just mentioned. Because if you look over here, again, there's no liquidation in that move up. Now, if you go in towards the 4-hour time frame, what you'll see is that there's no liquidation in that move down. And with liquidation, it just means a structure for stop hunts to be hit. So what you kind of prefer is, again, something like this, like a bump in the road down. You want a bump in the road down, builds liquidity above the high, grab the liquidity, and then you sell off. So again, what happens if there's no bump in the road up? Then you see over here, we just move straight through this area of demand. So that's likely also to happen over here. Therefore, I just want momentum to keep on pushing Aussie dollar, and then us just to get in on the skill ins, okay? So that's Aussie dollar. Moving into pound dollar, what are we seeing there? So pound dollar is actually moving a little bit more choppy, I would say. Here on the daily time frame, we saw a fractal change, which was bullish. So this is now your strong low, so-called, which broke this high over here. So very simply said, what happened was just this. So what I'm now waiting for is this blue line pretty much to get broken, indicating we can see some further downside movements. Going in towards the 4-hour time frame, we are already 4-hour fractal bearish after breaking the low of this bullish candle. So what is now happening to Aussie or to pound dollar? I also want that to happen on Aussie dollar, what we just discussed. This is the fractal low. Let's see if we can get a nice strong candle close here on the 4-hour time frame, indicating that this is your buy before the sell, that this is, let's say, your so-called 4-hour supply zone. And then we can look for some nice skill ins with the overall momentum in towards the downside. All right, then we'll just keep on shorting the overall order flow back down towards these zones over here. All right, so that's the game plan for pound dollar. Extremely simple. Get in on the momentum if we have the opportunity. But obviously, again, guys, it's Monday, so let's stay a little bit safe. Going into NZDUSD, what are we seeing there? So NZDUSD was actually also a very nice setup. Remember, guys, I was calling for a lot of shorts on Friday because there was just so much liquidity being built up, and we were also seeing these ascending patterns. And again, guys, an ascending pattern is just a correction in towards the upside, which indicates, or often indicates, that the market is ready to push back down. Descending is corrective into the downside and then indicates potential upside. All right. It's as simple as that. You can kind of also see it here. We get this ascending correction, 1, 2, 3, sell off. All right. So that also pretty much happened in this move up over here, where you get 1, 2, and then kind of like this third high. And then from there, we sell off in towards the downside. Now, NZDUSD has a lot of momentum with it. As you also guys know, on Friday, we mentioned there was liquidity underneath the slope because there was no liquidation in this move up. So it was likely that the market was going to come back down to liquidate stop losses. So let's see, we've now broken this low again. Let's see what the 4-hour candle close does. That could indicate that there is 4-hour supply in this little buy before the sell. So this Aussie dollar, the pound dollar, the euro dollar, all these pairs could give us some potential shorts if today and this morning we do see that bearish momentum kick in, and then maybe with New York pull back and then continue down lower again. So that's what I'm waiting for. If these are just all let's say liquidity grabs and we see the next candle shoot back up, then we could just look for longs again and then trade them back up higher in towards these, let's say, stupid supply zones, because these supply zones are not likely to hold straight away. So then there's still some more room to move up deeper into them. So that's my game plan. I'm looking for shorts if we see a lot of bearish momentum. If we see it more as like liquidity sweeps, then just get in on the longs on the trend shift, okay? So that's what I'm doing. Then going into gold last fall. So gold is still ranging, but gold did actually do what we mentioned on Friday, what we discussed there. As we can see, we liquidated the high, we moved up higher, and then we sold off in towards the downside again. So you can clearly see gold is still ranging, guys. It's just selling off from the 75% mark, and it is again a buy at the 25% mark. It's getting extremely simple. Would I get into a sell over here? No, I would not. I would be looking more at a buy again in towards the upside. But then again, the overall market structure here is getting a little bit messy on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, it's also not too nice. Yeah, I would just wait a little bit. Yeah, just wait for a nice 15-minute trend shift, maybe sell off again, and then start waiting for structural shifts. Yeah, that is what I would do personally. Just to trade this overall range here on gold. That is the easiest way to make money. And then the biggest and the best buy, in my opinion, is if we liquidate these two lows. So if we move down all the way into there, then look for that buy from that area of demand, which is also on the daily time frame an area of demand. If we just refine this, for example, in towards this imbalance candle over here, the single one, then that would be a nice zone to trade into. So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for at the moment. Let's see if we can get kind of like just a little bit of a steeper sell-off for some better priced buys. I wouldn't be buying over here. This is the good price buys. And yeah, sells are also not a good option in my opinion, because we're already so deep inside of the range, right? So yeah, that's it for today, guys. A little bit of some waiting to do. If we see the bearish momentum, there are some shorts to be taken. If I do take any trades, I'll take them live inside Discord. So make sure to join, link in the description down below, and I'll see you inside. Thanks, guys.